started. We're really pleased to be doing a virtual event with Octopus, our newest client partners. We're really super excited for this. And from their side as well, they're squadded up today. They have a lot of representatives across different roles within the firm who are going to be talking about like the energy industry, a very, very exciting and growing industry that a lot of people don't know about. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was super excited. When we kickstarted this partnership as well. They've launched an internship program that is going to be running this summer as well. And they're predominantly going to be talking about all the great opportunities within the internship as well. If you're new here, you know that this session is usually just an informative session where people kind of talk about the industries that we're going to be going through. And this is an opportunity to ask as much questions as you want as well and just drop them in the chat as much as possible. And I think why I'm really pleased about this session as well is because there's a number of opportunities available. I believe there are about 9 internship roles across like London and Manchester. So this is a great opportunity for you to get your questions in about the opportunities available. And Vanya, keep me honest here, but I think applications are closing on the 16th of April, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, cool. So we have about 5 days, guys. So this is the opportunity to ask as much questions as possible. But with that being said, I'll hand it over to Vanya to kind of do the honors and running through the presentation as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, it's really great to be here today and have, so many of the Octopus team represent the different areas that we'll be having our internship. So yeah, super excited to have started this partnership with Beyond Education as well. I'm just trying to go okay. Just to quickly run through what we'll be talking through today. We'll do a quick introduction into Octopus Energy, like the story behind it and what our mission is overall. And then a quick introduction to the internship itself. So this is our 3rd year running. So we have built up over the last 2 years and really excited for this year. What roles we have available and what responsibilities those include. And then I'll hand it over to some of the team to talk about like their insights, their journeys, how they got into their roles, their progression, and just how it looks different for everyone and what the kind of opportunities there are. And then we'll have some time for questions and answers at the end. So I'll just hand over to Joanna to go through a couple of these slides.
Yeah, thanks, Vanya. And yeah, thanks Beyond Education for having us here today. And it's really nice to see so many people come to our meeting. So just quickly, my name's Joanna. I'm a data scientist at Octopus Energy, and I'm also leading this internship this year. So what is Octopus Energy? I'm sure some of you, maybe a few of you even, have our customers or have family or friends who are customers. So you may be aware that we're an energy supplier. And we also have many other tentacles in very different areas and very different parts of the energy industry. But ultimately, our primary aim is to make energy fair, clean, and simple for everyone. As an energy supplier, we do this by providing outstanding customer service, and we want to make our communication with customers transparent and very simple and easy to understand. While as a global energy transition collective, we're trying to drive the world's transition to renewable energy in nearly every front. I think everyone, I'm sure, is very aware today of the realities of climate change and how we have a lot of things to do to make a difference and hopefully improve the future of the planet. So how are we doing this? Well, one is we're a global company. We're present in many different areas of the world. So we're in countries spanning Europe, North America, and we're even as far as Japan and Australia now, and we're still growing. And we're also doing this by working in many areas of the energy industry. So for example, we work in electric vehicles. We're looking at Octopus Energy generation, which is investing in renewable resources. We have Kraken Tech and Kraken Flex, which are using technology to kind of improve our energy supply and also how we balance the grid and optimize it. And we also have new areas like Center for Net Zero, which is primarily interested in kind of research about kind of different energy questions. So loads of different parts of the business, all aiming to tackle moving to renewable energy in different ways. If we have the next slide, yeah. So what is the equality internship? Well, in order to deliver a fair energy system for everyone, we also need to have an energy industry that represents the world we live in. So what we're trying to do with this internship is provide work experience and career development opportunities across the energy industry in all of those kind of different areas I've listed to underrepresented ethnic groups. As Vanya said, this is the 3rd year running, and it's specifically targeted at people who identify with any Black British, African, or Caribbean background. We have started from humble beginnings with 3 interns in 2021 in 2 areas of the business, to last year 5 areas of the business and 15 interns. And this year, as Stephen said just now, we actually have 11 potential roles for interns, which means we can take many more. And I think it's really nice to show Octopus's commitment to this initiative by growing like this every year. And we are primarily led by people within the business, such as myself, or the people you'll hear from later on in the session. And I think that's a really special thing about Octopus, is that people can pursue kind of passions like this that they feel really strongly about, and the company supports them. If you're curious about learning about the previous internships, or you want to hear how the other interns got on, you can do so on in some of the blogs that we've got. I think you will get a copy of this presentation afterwards, so you can follow the links there. Next slide, please. So just some quick essentials about the internship before we get into the details of the roles. This internship runs for 8 weeks, Monday the 3rd of July to Friday the 25th of August. We have roles in London and Manchester, as Stephen said, and you'll be working from those respective offices. And the salary is the London/Manchester living wage. The application deadline is this week, but don't panic, because it's very straightforward application. We don't need a CV. We just want you to write a cover letter. We've got them listed on the website, and we explain what we're looking for in the cover letter, but it's just to see that you're interested in the energy industry, that you're interested in the roles that we have, and kind of get to know you better. If you are successful, this is what the internship will look like. For the first couple of weeks, you'll be onboarding to the company, settling into your team, and getting to start working on a specific project, which then you will work on for the remainder of the internship alongside a mentor, who is someone in that team in Octopus who has a lot of experience, a lot of expertise, and has an actual interest as well in teaching and guiding someone. So while you're working on that project, we'll have talks from different leaders from across the business, so you can learn about the different areas that we're working in. And we also have some field trips, which are always good fun. Last year we went to a wind farm, we went to a heat pump center, we saw some electric vehicles. Hopefully we'll do it again this year, and maybe even more. And in the final week, you'll be handing over your project to a mentor, because you'll be working on something that we'll want to continue for the rest of the company's existence. And we'll have a presentation day, which is where you get to share everything you've learned and worked on with your cohort, as well as the different leaders from across the business. Next slide, please. So these are some of the roles that we're looking to, or these are the roles actually that we're looking to hire in. So we have across Octopus Energy Generation, we have 4 in finance and investments. We have 1 in development, which is kind of focusing on, I think, building up renewable projects. We have roles in customer operations. We have programming tech roles as backend developer as part of Kraken Tech. We also have policy and regulation. We have something in flexibility, and we also have more tech roles as a data engineer. And I actually realized I left one off, which was really bad of me, but we actually have a role as a front-end developer as well. So those are all the roles that we're looking to hire. If we go to the next slide. So yeah, that's my whistle-stop intro to Octopus and the history of the internship and the roles we have available. And now we are ready to hear from different members of the team.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can see the slide at the moment, but yeah, I'll just introduce myself. So I'm Brian.
Sorry.
It's all right. I'm Brian. I am currently working for Octopus Energy Generation as a junior commercial asset manager, which I'll touch on in a second, but I've been with the company for 6 months now. I thought it would be good to maybe kind of give you a background of how I've ended up here and, you know, my interest in energy and things like that. Maybe some of you might find some familiarities with that. So firstly, I went to the University of Sheffield. I studied chemical engineering. My interests there were more so, I liked knowing how things were made. I don't know if anyone knows the TV show How It's Made. You see, they make chewing gum, Boeing engines, all sorts of things. I was really interested, so I thought combining that with my interest in chemistry and maths, I'd kind of go and do chemical engineering. I would say that when I got there, maybe it wasn't quite what I realized it was, but it still gave me lots of great skills. And you know, maybe if some of you are still even trying to choose degrees, I think it's always, I just recommend really like doing your research, making sure, you know, speaking to people about careers and things like that, and maybe good routes. And it's really helped me get into where I am today. I then did an internship, or kind of like a volunteering internship at a company called Mobile Power. And they were a renewable energy company. It's like startup business. And basically what they did is they powered these battery packs with solar energy, and distributed them across like rural villages in Africa. So for example, in Sierra Leone or in Nigeria, or different places. And it was really cool because they gave people jobs to be able to actually distribute these batteries, so people were kind of making income, but also like, you know, it was giving people who live off grid like access to clean renewable electricity at an affordable rate. I really got an interest in how, you know, business works, how they would set up their project. I was able to kind of coordinate some people, you know, preparing for them to go to, like, for example, Uganda. I had to organize some accommodation, different things like that for them to carry out this project. And this really like sparked my interest in pursuing a career in renewable energy. I then moved on to my next role, which was in Eon Next, as an energy specialist. And this was more so like, this is actually one of the internship roles, I believe, at Octopus Energy as well. We actually used Octopus Energy systems as well there. So I was a bit familiar with that. But yeah, you kind of just talking to customers about their bills, if people had any problems with, you know, their meters, booking appointments, things like that. It really built my customer service skills, and also dealing with complaints and things. But at the start, I was very like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But then, you know, there's people there that could support me and show me how to do these things. And it really developed my ability to communicate with people, even in difficult conversations. And then I thought I wanted to kind of use my degree more in terms of, you know, actually looking at the power generation side of things, so actually how the electricity is generated, and also looking at the finance side of things. So that's where I came across this role as a junior commercial asset manager at Octopus Energy Generation. So just to give you a brief outline, Octopus Energy Generation, we, for example, let's say one of you has a lot of money, for example, a couple of million, and you want to kind of, you know, make an investment. You want to pay into something that you think would give you a good return for your money, but also maybe have a social or sustainable impact. So that's kind of what my company manages. We manage investors' money, and we invest it into solar, wind, biomass. I'm in the thermal team, so we look after biomass, and also we're going to recently be investing in batteries. And kind of on a day-to-day perspective, we kind of have oversight of these things. So the operational performance, how the assets are performing, making sure that the contractors, the people that normally are actually doing the day-to-day handiwork, they're doing the right things. Also, we're observing the finances, making sure there's enough money in the bank, for example. Have to check that sometimes. Or also, if we need to return money to investors, we kind of do analysis on that and make sure that that's we can distribute that back to them. So yeah, it's been really exciting. And I guess I just put my section about interests here just to show that, you know, I think sometimes when it does come to like jobs and things, it's good to have some other things on the side to just kind of show where you kind of growing your skills, or, you know, also, you know, make yourself more employable as well. So that picture of a teacher, I normally teach at my like Sunday school at my church. I teach kids, and I've kind of recently been doing that, and that's been really good. And I've done previous volunteering with children before, so I love working with children, and that's really helped me like kind of even standing up in front of them and being able to speak and things like that, because I have to do a lot of communication in my day job. So that's been good. And then if none of you might know of this, but it's called Udemy, online platform where you can get access to online courses at really good cheap price, and you can basically upskill yourself in something that maybe you're interested in, whether it's, for example, programming or something to do with business. I did a course there, and that really gave me an insight into kind of, yeah, going more down the business route of things in my career. So yeah, that's just a bit about me, and I'm happy to answer any questions later that you might have.
Thank you so much, Brian. Just go to the next one. Okay, Safia.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophia. I'm currently a client implementation lead at Cracking Technologies. I started as an energy specialist in around 2020. I was kind of at a loss at what I wanted to do. I just graduated university. I did history and politics, so quite different. And I saw the energy specialist role and I just thought, why not? I honestly didn't think I'd be there for long. I was like, this is just a filler job for a little bit, but it was probably the best decision I ever made in terms of career progression. The job itself, the energy specialist role, is one of the roles we obviously are advertising for. And Brian mentioned earlier, it's kind of customer service role. You're dealing with customers' queries, you're answering their emails, you're answering their calls, you're dealing with their complaints. But yeah, I do love Superstore Vanya. But essentially, the energy specialist role is at the core of what Octopus does. So we wrap ourselves around the customers, and then it's the energy specialist, and then it's everyone else around that. The energy specialists are arguably the most important because you're having that direct contact with customers day in, day out. And as a result, you're given a lot of support, you're given a lot of opportunity to grow. So for me personally, I was energy specialist for about a year or so, and then I became a team leader of one of the teams, which also gave me a lot of experience with management, dealing with people, dealing with day-to-day problems, dealing with customer queries and complaints. And then I was a team leader for around a year and a half. And then I moved to Cracking Technologies in September, on a similar role, so kind of like the team leader role, but actually working with clients rather than customers. So I worked with E.ON. So like Brian said, E.ON does use Kraken, which is a technology system. So I worked with them for a little bit, and I'm currently working with EDF because they have also bought the technology that Octopus uses, and they're going to be starting a migration process in a couple of weeks actually. So yeah, really exciting time. For me, I'd say the energy specialist role is what you make of it, and the opportunities are what you make of it. And actually, for someone who's not quite sure what they want to do with their career, or they're kind of unsure on the path they want to take long term, it's a good entry role for you to kind of consider. So you've got various areas of the company that you can see, especially for this internship role, because you will get the exposure with seeing a lot of different departments as well. So I definitely recommend it for anybody who's looking to do it. Yeah, that's it for me, if anyone's got any questions as well.
Thank you. We'll go to the next slide. V.
So hi everyone, I'm V and I'm a data engineer in gross margin in the retail business. Data engineer is one of the roles we're advertising an internship for. It's more of a technical role, I think. We use Python and SQL mostly, but we don't expect any knowledge of the tech behind it. It's a entry-level job. We just want you to have an interest. So yeah, what's gross margin? Gross margin is a very weird way of saying accounting, but like very hardcore, because buying electricity and selling electricity is kind of complicated. And yeah, my career path was slightly roundabout in that I didn't really study data science or data engineering. I did maths at the Uni of Manchester, and in the evenings I worked part-time as a customer service rep at Monzo. It was kind of like a winding road through customer service. Eventually, I moved into workforce forecasting. That's where I learned some of like the data skills that I eventually applied to credit data at Octopus, and now to my new role as a data engineer. And the other two guys didn't do this, but I thought it'd be cute to just, what would I say to myself 5 years ago? Because I think that's where some of you might be right now. I think rejections are part of the game, and as like the quickest you can get over the fear of rejection, the happier you're going to be. Just like get yourself out there. Once people have said no to you 5 times, you'll get over it. It'll be fine, I promise. The second thing is that you don't actually need to be good. You just need to enjoy the thing that you're doing. Like I think lots of people are very scared of technical roles because it's like, oh, I don't have a natural skill, I'm not amazing in maths or whatever. You don't actually need to be any good so long as you're willing to just put in the hours that are needed, you know. And the last one is to do with the tech bro stereotype. You don't need to be a tech bro. You can have tech skills and soft skills, and I actually think it takes you very far to be a nice person, nice to work with. So don't feel like you need to be this like Silicon Valley stereotype to work in tech. So yeah, I feel like I went way faster than everyone else, but if you guys have questions, I can answer.
Thanks so much, Vi. I really loved the last bit as well. I feel like that spoke to me as well. Cool. So we have Simona next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Simona and I work on the flexibility team with Vanya. I thought I'd just start off by explaining what flexibility, or doing my best to explain what flexibility is, because I think a lot of people are put off by the name. But basically, flexibility is all about keeping energy supply and demand balanced. And in the past, this used to be a lot easier because we had a few kind of centralized power stations that needed to turn up or down to meet a very like static or predictable national demand picture. Nowadays, however, we have hundreds of thousands of renewable generation assets connected to the grid, and loads of people have EVs and heat pumps. And so basically there's not kind of this predictable national demand picture anymore, because everyone's got different consumption profiles. And obviously with the renewable generation, it's very intermittent, because if the sun doesn't shine or the wind doesn't blow, then you're not going to have generation from those assets. So this is kind of what I tried to illustrate with this cat GIF, is basically we've gone from a very stable system to a harder to manage system, and the solution here is flexibility. So yeah, flexibility is all about solving this problem, and our team does this in lots of different ways, but I picked out 3 that I know the most about. So we do so we've developed smart tariffs, and basically what these are is they're made for people who have an EV or a heat pump, and they basically, so for example, we have a tariff called Octopus Go, and if you're on Octopus Go, you pay less for using your energy during the night. So from midnight, I think, to 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., something like this. And basically the point of doing that is because at midnight to 4 a.m., that's when that's not a peak time in like the national picture. So it's better for grid and the planet if people shift their consumption from 6 p.m, let's say, when most people are using their energy. And it's also cheaper that way, because we have this, we offer, it's just better that way. And then we also have another tariff called Intelligent Octopus, where we integrate with your car and we manage your charging for you. So yeah, my team, they develop these offers. Then we also run flexibility trials, and one of the ones we ran recently is called Saving Sessions. And basically that paid customers for using less energy during peak times. So we had about 13 sessions over the winter, and we told customers day ahead, like, please don't use as much between 6 to 7 tomorrow, for example. And if they use less than they normally did, then we pay them. So that was a really exciting project to work on. And then another aspect of my role is I do some analysis on batteries, on revenue streams for batteries. But basically what I wanted to say with all of these 3 things is that before I started, I had no experience in energy and any of these types of tasks. And I think that's a really important thing to remember when you're applying, is that I think it's easy to look at a job spec sometimes and think, oh my God, I don't know, I'll never be able to do any of this. Like, I really never thought I'd be able to run a Python model for a battery. Like, I barely even knew what a battery was. So I think just really don't be scared of applying to things that maybe don't make sense at first. And another thing I'd say is a good thing about the flexibility team is that every day looks so different. I think Vanya will agree with me, like every role or task we're given or project we're on is just completely different. So it's really fun. And then, yeah, just quickly on my career path. So I did maths and Spanish at uni, and then I started as an intern like a year and a half ago. And then I was made full-time. And yeah, as I said, I had no prior experience in energy. And my tips for anyone interested in the flexibility internship would be, we've got a lot of good blogs on our website about what flexibility is and the smart trials and the smart tariffs that we have. I'd say definitely read them. They're really the marketing team have made it all very kind of digestible and easy to understand for a newcomer. So I think definitely read those. And yeah, don't worry if you think you are underqualified, because you're probably not. And then finally, I just wanted to, definitely agree with V about don't be upset by rejections. I think if you're not getting rejected or if you're not having like difficulties, it means you're not learning. So Oh, and finally, one more thing is don't be scared by people who you think are cleverer than you, because you're probably just as clever as them. So yeah, don't be stressed when people seem scary, because they're very clever.
Thank you, Simona. And just to plug the flexibility role, honestly, I had no idea what flexibility was before I started about a year ago. But if you're interested in like a wide variety of like work from day to day, and like using data analysis to implement business opportunities, then flexibility is definitely for you. But I think that's the end. So we have some time for questions now.
Yes. Perfect. I mean, honestly, guys, that was a super, super, super informative session. And I like the way you guys kind of bounce off each other as well. I think it was like a really nice transition between slides. Vanya, I'm happy to kind of like read out the questions to the team, or you can take the lead. However you want to run it. It's up to you.
Yeah, that's fine. You can go for it.
All right, then perfect. So let's scroll back to the top. I know Brian and Vid already started answering a couple of questions, but I believe I saw some from the top. So if we start from, I think someone just wanted to clarify the duration of the internship, because I think on the website it does say 9 weeks. But I know Joanna did mention that it was 10 weeks. So just to kind of confirm for everyone to be on the same page.
It is 8 weeks. So you can see here, we've got weeks 1 to 8.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank
Should be from the first week of July, and then 8 weeks after that.
Got you. For Brian, does data play a large part in deciding what investments to make? So that's number one question. So I'll let you answer that first, and then there were a couple follow-up questions after that, Brian.
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. I was actually doing a massive reply, but I think it's better actually verbalize it. But yeah, data plays a massive part. So actually, Octopus Energy Generation, we're split into multiple teams. We have an investments team, we have an asset management team, we have a finance team, and the investments team look at a lot of data in terms of they actually make like financial models, and this is on Excel, and basically they get an idea, a rough estimate of the cost of what the project will be, and then the revenue, like how much money they'll actually make, and then they kind of do some analysis to see whether it's a viable project to go with. And then we as an asset management team, to my side, we look at the technical and practical side of things. So we look at whether, do we have a connection to the grid, and if we do have a connection to the grid, is it going to cover all the aspects of the, for example, if it's a solar project, or, when the asset is actually operating, who's going to actually go out on site, make sure things are maintained. That's just one side, even before we've actually done the actual deal. There's so many phases that we're all intertwined together, and data's always playing a part.
Noted. No, thank you for that comprehensive breakdown.
Yeah.
And the next question that was asked, just skip to the bottom. The next question that was asked is, what skills do you think are needed to be successful in your role, especially as someone with an engineering background?
Yeah, so skills, one I'd definitely say is communication, in all aspects. So not just verbal, but also written. I'm speaking to a lot of people in a lot of different teams on day-to-day basis, and it's important to like have that skill to be able to kind of clearly communicate what you're wanting, or what someone's expecting from you, but also just having a kind of maybe an eye for detail, because doing a lot of reviewing of things, and also understanding like financial, even just the basics of financial things. I've had to pick that up, and I don't want to skate, like it's possible. But yeah, those are kind of some of the main skills that I'd say.
Noted, got you. And I guess this question was positioned to Brian, but I think it's one that everyone can kind of answer. Maybe we'll pass it on to Joanna next. How is AI influencing your role? And maybe we can kind of go around the meeting.
I think Jonas had to go. But I can go next.
Yeah, sure, you go for it, Viv.
Yeah. I think it's kind of early days. It's a bit early to say, but I can definitely say, like, I've been using ChatGPT every single day at work. it's kind of like a helping hand more than a replacement.
Mhm.
But if you're not on the boat, then you're sinking essentially.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course, of course. What about you, Vanya? Like, do you has AI influenced your role in any way?
More in terms of like just researching things, but not hugely. Yeah.
Ryan?
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe one thing, I don't know if it's AI actually, but maybe one thing, the battery assets that I said that we might invest in, I think Kraken might have some kind of system that collates data for it. I think Simona maybe could add to that. I don't know.
So I think maybe you're talking about Kraken Flex, which
Yeah.
basically controls and optimizes the battery. So yeah, you can enter this battery into different markets and get revenues from it.
Noted, noted. How about you, Sophia? Any kind of any AI takeovers at the moment?
Yeah, actually, in the past week or so, there has been a really exciting update in regards to customer emails. So it helps you respond to customer emails by using AI. You just type in some keywords and it will take in all the previous emails from the customer. It will take in your individual conversation style and it will kind of attach it like that. But again, very early days and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think one thing that people kind of need to realize with any technology, it's always going to be a disruptor. Anyways, I can imagine when the internet was first a thing, it was like probably scary, like, oh my God, this is going to take so many jobs. But then look how many jobs the internet actually created as well. So I think if anything, it's going to be an enhancer to any industry, to be honest. So, but it's still early days, as you guys have kind of said. Another question for Vay, what aspect of data engineering do you find the most enjoyable?
I really like how I'll have a project and there'll be something I need to build and I can zone out for like 5 or 6 hours and just work on this thing really deeply. That's
Mhm.
like when I have consecutive days of like deep work, that's when I feel the most fulfilled. So I don't have that many meetings, I don't have that many things to juggle. I just sit there and like work on my task for many hours at a time, and I find that very fun personally. But it's definitely something you have to enjoy rather than something you can learn to enjoy, I think.
Got you, got you. This one's probably more appropriate for you, Vanya, to answer. I don't know if you have any insight into this, but does Octopus Energy sponsor tier two working visas for their full-time entry level roles? I don't know if you have any insight into that, or if that's something you can take away.
Unfortunately, we're not in a position to support work visas.
Got you, got you. Thank you for clarifying that. Another question, I think this one is for Vay as well. So with Python and SQL, was this learning supported on the job?
So I learned this at my previous job and they did support me. I mean, it's kind of a joint effort. Like they might pay for some courses, but you ultimately have to put in the work yourself and partly in your spare time as well.
Mhm.
And I think so in regards to the internship specifically, we don't expect you to have any knowledge of Python or SQL. So we would definitely be supporting you in learning it. So it's a bit different in this case because it's very specifically aimed at early careers, people with no experience in this role.
Got you. Thank you for clarifying that. Sophia, you mentioned that progression is something that really made you kind of like your role within Octopus. And I was wondering if you could kind of talk to what progression looks like at Octopus, because one of our members kind of just asked about that.
Yeah, of course. I think it looks different to each department, but for me personally, it's because, like I said, each kind of department relies on the entry specialist role. You do get to kind of network with the other departments, and it means that if there are any opportunities that do come up, there's a lot of internal postings as well. But really, it's what you make of it. If you put yourself forward for an opportunity, you'll be given it. Even just working on this internship, like Joanna mentioned earlier, this was all volunteer led. So this is something that we're passionate about. And as a result, I've met people across so many different departments. I've got to, form friendships off the back of it. And it's just a really exciting time as a company at the minute. So it really is just what you make of it when you join.
Thank you for clarifying that. Vanya, with the internship opportunities available, I know it's kind of been running for about 3 years now. Is there any potential opportunities for a graduate scheme on the horizon by any chance?
So I understand, and Safia, correct me if I'm wrong, but the energy specialist role is a graduate role, and majority of like the entry level roles in Octopus are graduate roles. So not necessarily a graduate scheme.
Got you.
But this is like the closest thing we have to that at the moment.
Okay. No, perfect. No, so you guys heard you can check out some of the entry level roles at Octopus that are very much appropriate for like graduates effectively.
It's also not the case that this internship isn't appropriate for graduates. Like, we'd be very happy to have graduates in the internship if they're changing careers, so this is like the first internship they've ever done or something like that. Yeah.
Got you noted. Thank you for clarifying that. Another note here for people who need to move to either Manchester/London for the 8 to 9 week internship. Does Octopus Energy offer any financial support in that realm by any chance? Oh, I can see you answered that already, Vanya. Apologies for that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions coming through. Sorry, guys. I'm literally just trying to scroll through all of them. Hey, thanks for sharing your journeys. I'm currently retraining to become a UX designer. Will there be any design opportunities / internships at Octopus in the potential future?
I don't think we can say that yet, hopefully, but nothing confirmed. Sorry.
No problem, got you. A bit of a technical one here I'm throwing your way, Brian. Hopefully you can answer this, but do you trade carbon credits or do you trade PPAs? I currently do not actually know what the acronym for PPA stand for, but any kind of insight into carbon credits by any chance?
Yeah, no, we do that actually. I look after that. So sometimes we do trade some carbon allowances on some of our assets. And the PPAs, we have many PPAs in place. It's basically like an agreement to sell the electricity. So we have a lot of that with that, those contracts set up with our assets.
Got you. I can see some people are really trying to flex their knowledge in anticipation for these internships. So they're trying to show you guys what they're made of here and here. So
I'm impressed with that one, actually. I am.
that's a very, very serious flex. What are the stages of the internship applications? And what does this question isn't really clear, but what are the stages of the internship application? And I'm guessing they're asking, what does the interview process look like after you submit a cover letter and if you do progress to the next stages?
Well, I can take this one. So I think it varies from role to role, but for the majority, it will be an interview, and there may be a technical challenge depending on the role. But that's more to like understand how you would go about solving something. So although you might not have the exact experience needed to get like the right answer, it's more about like how you're thinking to get there, and just to understand that. And then if you're successful, you will be offered a role.
Got you. Thank you for clarifying that. Just trying to sift out some other questions here. But there's been a real build up. Sorry, guys. What about policy and regulation? I didn't hear about this unless it was already covered. And yeah, this is a very good one actually, because that was the second most popular link that was clicked, by the way, Vanya. So yeah, it would be good to get some insight into what policy and regulation looks like, because a lot of people seem to be a bit interested.
Yeah, cool. And Simona, jump in if you have any insights. But we in the flexibility team do work closely-ish with the regulations and policy team. Unfortunately, they weren't here to represent themselves today. But this will look like work around, researching energy market reforms, pushing for certain things that we believe should be in there as a company. So one thing we did do was like write, I think it was alongside the policy and reg team, but write about why we believe DNOs should favor flexibility and like invest money in flexibility rather than reinforcing the network. And now, a lot of the DNOs have adopted that as a business as usual service, which is mainly what I work with. And then there's other sort of policy things that aren't flexibility related, so I don't have that much insight on, but I know they do cover like a wide variety of things, and do have like a strong voice within those circles to implement change. So it will look like a lot more research, summarizing like our points, why, etc., and then like relaying that to different stakeholders.
Yeah,
Got
I
you.
think, oh, sorry. No, I was just going to quickly add,
Okay.
I think it's a lot of research, but like on really interesting parts of the energy market. And as Vanya said, we have a really good kind of, like our voice is very much listened to. So, yeah, it's also a lot of consultation responses, I think. So yeah, our colleagues in the regulations team, there'll be consultations or like questions that industry kind of proposes to different stakeholders, and then yeah, we might reply with our thoughts. But yeah, I think it's really great to give you kind of an overall picture of the energy industry.
Got you, got you. And I think I have a bit of insight as well, because from my perspective, when I used to work in asset management, the implementation of like ESG is a really big thing at the moment, and energy regulation is like a big part of that. And because of energy is still an industry that's kind of evolving as well, there's a lot of policymakers, and regulation is a really, really big part of that, right? So as Simona kind of mentioned, in terms of like consultations to really interpret this regulation and what the impact actually has on a business, that's a very, very meaty and interesting part to be a part of, because you're essentially getting it from the source's mouth and kind of like really seeing how it shapes the industry as a whole. So that's what I have to say in that respect. Another question, I think this one's more appropriate for Sophia to answer. Can you provide any insight into what a day in the operations team in Octopus looks like? So from like an energy specialist perspective, I know, Sophia, you kind of mentioned that is the heart of Octopus Energy and arguably the most important role within Octopus Energy. So maybe you can provide a bit of insight into that.
Yeah, of course. So the energy specialist role, I know it sounds like a cliche, but no 2 days are the same. It's very busy in terms of you're dealing with the customer queries, you know, any kind of queries they've got when it comes to their bill, anything like that, and you will receive training. So all of that stuff, for an energy specialist role, you're trained to work end to end. So any queries that the customer has, you deal with from start to finish, giving the customer a better journey and a better journey for you, because you've got accountability on your work. In terms of the team setup, you'll kind of be working in a team of around 10 to 15 people with your one team leader. And the way we describe it is each team is like a mini business. So that team will have around 40 to 50,000 customers. Anytime those customers will come back or contact back through, they'll go through to the same energy specialist again. So you've got better end-to-end service for the customer, and it just means that you can run things how you like. So no two teams will run things exactly the same, but they will have like a scheduled balance across all, but it can vary depending on the team that you're in. But as an internship and energy specialist role, you're predominantly doing emails, dealing with the customer queries, supporting your team where needed, dealing with any billing, that kind of thing. But yeah, very fast paced, and your team is like your little family.
Got you. And then you kind of mentioned that there's different teams, right, for each like energy specialist division. Is there a lot of opportunity for like cross-functional collaboration between other teams outside of like the energy specialist? So let's say, for example, you're kind of troubleshooting like a client query and you have to interact with like the finance team, for example. Is that something that occurs frequently?
Yeah, definitely. So we use Slack, which is like our main communication tool. And if any kind of queries you have got, we have multiple channels where you can raise them. You'll have direct contact with the tech team, for example. If you've got a suggestion on how to do things better, there's a suggestions page, you can type it in. If you need people to come from finance, you can literally just DM them. It's that kind of thing. And even as a whole, we have a company-wide meeting on a Friday, which is called our family dinner, which is where everyone gets together. We discuss the week, how it's been across all departments. So you get the chance to hear from not just operations, but from every department.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And I think that kind of covers their question that they had on the culture of the team as well. So that's really good. Thank you for that, Sophia. Someone asked, what is the work-life balance like on the asset management team? So I believe this one is for you, Brian.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think it's actually quite good. I'd say actually better than maybe previous jobs I've had. I think it kind of ebbs and flows. So sometimes when the work is, I guess, picking up, or there's some deadlines, which so far I've been here 6 months, it's not been as many deadlines. It's good still. It's still manageable, and I found I've been able to go and do my other stuff at the weekend and switch off and come back. And I'd actually say this, that it's the one job out of all I've had that I actually look forward to going in on a Monday. So that says something for me. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Brian, in that same breath, this person is really trying to show you that they're the right person for this intern. Said, what do you do different to your competitors like Dare and Oinks?
uh, let's see. Dan Oinks, what in terms of work-life balance?
Yeah, no, just in terms of like overall, like, the way Octopus operate in comparison to their competitors, like,
Ah,
what would you say are the key differentiators?
yeah. I think one of the main differences is Octopus is very autonomous. So like I'll be honest, like I've been a kind of person that's like I like structure and rules, and I like almost like to be told this is what you need to do, so do this. But coming to Octopus has kind of like shaken that out of me, and I've kind of been given, oh, here's a task, here's a problem, and then I can kind of input, and I've been able, for example, I had to oversee a project to install an electric vehicle charger at one of the sites, and my manager's given me full reins, and I think at some other companies, potentially, you might not get that much freedom and autonomy to kind of really push your ideas and push your thoughts.
No,
Yeah.
thank you for clarifying that. I'm just scrolling through. I believe there was a few more questions. What impact does Octopus Energy have across the globe, and is it looking to scale up its impact? Take
I'm
that one.
sure all my like teammates here will agree that we have a very big impact across the globe. I think I would compare Octopus in energy to like what's a big name?
Apple in
In
tech.
tech. Well, yeah, like we are quite a big one in like energy tech, as there isn't that many people doing what we're doing, especially as Joe said earlier, we've got our tentacles in loads of different areas within energy. So, we might have a competitor that's like an energy supplier, but they might not be doing along that all the other things that we're doing as well. So yeah, huge impact across the globe, and that's only growing. And you can easily do a Google search and see the kind of investments and backings that we've been getting, especially over the last year or two. So yeah, huge impact and growing exponentially.
Nice. We love to see that. A question from my side, to be honest, because I've kind of been doing a bit of research into this. There's Octopus Energy, but then I've also seen another company called Octopus Investments as well. And I wanted to know if there's like any linkage, because I know Octopus Energy is part of Octopus Group, but from what I can see from the outside looking in, it looks like they're totally different companies. But I just really wanted to clarify because it's really odd for the same name like across like the different firms. So I wanted to know if they're actually linked by any chance.
Yeah, so I don't think they're linked in terms of like what we do, but I believe Octopus Investments invested into Octopus initially to start the business itself. And then I guess we just took the name and ran with it.
Okay, then yeah, got you. Yeah, because I just found that really interesting and kind of been wondering from my side. Another question that's kind of come through. We're actually good on time as well, so this is really good. Does the autonomy you get help in terms of gaining more skills to move up? I
I
know
think
Brian, you kind
I
of
think
mentioned.
it can be a great thing in the sense that you get to own your work and you get to make the most of it if you're capable of making the most of it. But it can be a bad thing if you're not used to asking for help, and if you're not used to knowing where your limits are. You can find yourself like really overwhelmed by the amount of stuff you don't know, right? So it's great in the sense that like you can make the most of it and you can learn a lot, and you can, if you're proactive and you like humble and open to learning, it can be great. But you very much have to be in the mental space where you're fine not knowing things, and you're fine asking for help, and you're fine getting rejected, like I said earlier.
Got you, got you. It looks like we've covered all the questions, and honestly, can I just say this is the most unique insight session we had in the sense that there's like multiple different people from the same company, and I think I really appreciated the way you guys kind of have been answering questions via the chat as well. So I just want to say it's been really, really super appreciated. As always, guys, we're gonna be circulating a feedback form after, so you guys can give us feedback on how we can make these insight sessions better for you guys. I'm going to send the link as well for all the roles that are available so you guys can get applying for the internships. There's only about 5 days left, so So, get those applications in. And if you go on the Beyond Education website as well, a lot of you guys that are familiar with the website, on our members portal, there's the career suite where you can access a bunch of cover letters and templates to kind of help you with the cover letter portion of the applications as well. So be sure to kind of do that. I believe there's one more question that was kind of just coming in. What's the team like, and are they more like open to teamwork, or is it very individual? So I think, Vay, this was to your point about when you kind of get a task and you have to put your head down and just get to work. Is that the dynamic across the board, or does it vary?
No, it's definitely you can't do this kind of thing on your own. Like there is a team and you need help and everyone's working together. We use at least in data, we use GitHub and we use Slack, and it's very much a group effort. You might have a project and you might be working, you might have your 6 hours of focus on some part of the project, but ultimately the project is something that you guys have come up together, that you guys have solved together. It's just everyone then sits down and does their piece.
Got you. No, thank you so much for clarifying that. And I think with that being said, we can actually save 4 minutes of everyone's time. Once again, thank you so much to the Octopus team for coming and sharing their insights. We really, really appreciate it. And we look forward to partnering with them in the future as well. As I mentioned, I'll be sure to circulate all the links for you guys to apply for all the roles that are available within Octopus Energy. And as they've rightly mentioned as well, a lot of the entry-level roles are pretty much graduate roles as well. So you're not limited to just internships. You can literally apply across the board. And I think one thing I like about Octopus is that this is literally a company that's essentially saving the world, right, through energy. So I think that's a big thing to kind of be a part of, right? And as always, for all our members, we'll be sure to circulate the slides and recording of this webinar after for anyone that wants to access it. But with that being said, once again, thank you so much for the Octopus team, and yeah, have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.